College Game Day is covered by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state.
This venerable old barn is starting to rock. Cameron Indoor Stadium on senior night. Their arch rival North Carolina in here. You know, these two teams, probably the contempt is bred in the familiarity and the similarity. The last 3 times Carolina's been to Duke for senior night. First 2006, J.J. Redick, Sheldon Williams, Tyler Hansborough and company spoiled it, knocking off #1 Duke 83-76. 2 years later, oh no, Danny Green.
Wow.
That wasn't even nice.
Wow.
North Carolina was #1 then, and they won it 76-68. But in 2010, as John Shire said goodbye and went on his way to a national championship, North Carolina fell by 32. Shire celebrated his senior night with a victory. Duke went on to win the national championship, and once again, it is senior night, and there is the only senior on the Duke roster. It is Miles Plumlee, who in the last half-dozen games has played his best basketball. Plumlee has averaged a dozen rebounds over the last 6.
Yeah, I think he's just that solid, getting points in the paint as well as controlling the boards for Duke.
Of course, there are 3 Plumlee brothers on the Duke roster. Mason is playing. Marshall is redshirting right now. Perky and Leslie Plumlee are the proud parents of the 3 Plumlee brothers. And Hubert, these are guys, Miles and Mason particularly, that you believe will be key if Duke is going to be able to make noise in the NCAA tournament.
I definitely think so. I mean, when you're talking about Miles Plumlee, I mean, this is a guy that's an outstanding rebounder. He can run the floor, and he's not broke when he catches the ball offensively down low on the block. He has a nice right-hand jump hook. He can catch the ball 1 or 2 steps outside the lane and face up and attack the rim. The thing for him throughout his career has been inconsistent, but you've mentioned over the last 2 or 3 weeks, he has been consistent. And when he plays well, and also Andre Dawkins is engaged on the offensive end and knocking down threes, this takes this Duke team to a different level.
For a man his size, about 6'11", he is as athletic as any you'll find from that standpoint. Miles Plumlee, the lone senior on this team. Let's go inside Cameron Indoor Stadium right now and listen to Miles Plumlee senior night. Miles Plumlee celebrating his senior night. You saw him bring his brothers out to midcourt. Mason and Marshall, his parents looking, and the Blue Devils starting to get hyped. You know, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I do occasionally have a little bit of a sarcastic streak. I've been known to say that senior night is a time when those guys who spent 4 years giving blood, sweat, tears, effort, every fiber of their being, so their coaches could have gigantic sneaker contracts, are honored, but there's a little bit more to it than that. It's an emotional time. Miles kept it together pretty well, but it is something you have to deal with to get ready for the start of the game.
That was really powerful. And Miles Plumlee was out there, and his 2 brothers came out. Having Marshall and Mason Plumlee come out there and share that moment. You know, it's a senior night. It's a combination of emotions. I think you're excited because you're celebrating your career, 4 years playing at Duke for Miles Plumlee. And I think it's also sad, too, because this is the last time that he's going to play on this home floor, the last time he's going to play in front of those fans, the last time he's going to play with his team coming out of that tunnel. But Miles Plumlee, this is something that he's going to remember for the rest of his life, and he's going to remember every bit of this night. He's going to respond well and have a great game tonight. He's been terrific throughout his career.
As long as they win. And if you lose, if you lose that game, that's a memory you don't want to have, because it was almost like when I had senior night in Notre Dame, I always wanted to schedule a win because I let my seniors talk after the game. And when my seniors would talk after the game, ooh, you don't want to talk after a loss, I'll tell you that right now.
That's why you didn't want to play us at the end of the season.
You got that right.
You know, and the other thing, too, is that there's nothing better, I think, for rivals than to come in and try to spoil senior night. It's not that they don't respect the other side, but it's a fun thing. You tried to do it. You came in here on Duke's senior night in '92. My man dropped 35 on him,
but they lost.
Duke still won the game, but it was.
What's interesting, looking at Plumlee brothers, they really have matured this year for this Duke team. And I think both of them. Now, they got in foul trouble when they won at Florida State. They can't do that tonight against Carolina. But what they can do is attack inside, because even though they lost at Temple, both Plumlee brothers combined for 33 points. And if they do that and get Carolina in foul trouble, that takes care of the boards, because you put those guys on the bench in foul trouble, now you dominate the game, get your running game going.
You know, one more thing about Miles Plumlee. I came over, we were at North Carolina for game day, and Duke had an afternoon game against Georgetown. He came over and played Greg Monroe off his feet, scored, hit jump shots. I thought he would be a better offensive player over the course of his career. He could have a big impact tonight. Who do you think wins the game, Hubert?
I think North Carolina wins. I think they, from a defensive standpoint, will make Duke a two-point shooting team as opposed to a three-point shooting team. And I think on the offensive end, in that first matchup, they were dominant offensively, getting the ball down low on the post. I think Tyler Zeller, John Henson, also Harrison Barnes against smaller defenders have a big game in the paint offensively.
Well, you talk so much about Tyler Zeller. I guarantee you he didn't sleep, because he should have had his hand up on Rivers when he took that three, and he went 2 for 6 making those free throws. 2 for 6. If he made some more free throws, he won the game. Duke wins this tonight. They get it done. They're going to get that #1 seed in an NCAA bid.
I'll bet you Tyler Zeller hits Coach K court like a man possessed. ACC title up for grabs. Here's Dan Schulman.
All right, Reese, thank you. Here inside Cameron, the building is alive. Some of the students have waited 7 weeks to get the best seats they can get for this game here tonight. Welcome to the Infinity College Basketball Tip-Off, live from Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. #6 Carolina and #3 Duke here for top spot in the regular season and an ACC championship. 2 shades of blue, one incredible rivalry.
It isn't just paint, it's passion. They aren't just colors, but common bonds between the fans and their teams. And no loyalty, no rivalry is more intense than this.
Just something magical about this rivalry.
2 schools, separated by a few miles, connected by a long history of epic battles and emotional moments.
Let's it fly!
Unbelievable! They don't just cheer, they channel their inner child, wild with school pride, for North Carolina and Duke.
Regardless of what's at stake, this is a special game and a special rivalry, and this game even more so, because this one is for a banner. It's for an ACC regular season championship, #1 seed in the ACC tournament, and it'll obviously have a big impact toward a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Hi, everybody. Dan Schulman and a couple of guys who know a lot about this rivalry. This is Dick's 41st Duke-Carolina game, and Jay, of course, played in this rivalry when he played here at Duke. What does this rivalry mean?
Well, you know, you think about the rivalry, I think about 9 national championships between them. I think about 47 ACC regular season championships. The rest of the conference has 23, 33 Final Fours. Playing right now for a #1 seed, possibly overall #1 seed in the ACC tournament. And also right now playing for the big prize, Jay, the ACC regular season championship.
Well, nothing could be more meaningful, and it's 2 teams that really play differently. North Carolina team that really likes to get up and down, and they get the ball inside. Their big guys are tremendous. They do a great job on the glass, and they really score in the paint. When they get the ball inside to Tyler Zeller, to John Henson, and in transition, they are going to the rim. Their offensive rebounds, they get 16 offensive rebounds a game, and they score almost 40 points per game in the paint. That is really difficult to stop, and means that they can also get to the free throw line. They get easy basket after easy basket by doing the hard things well. And for Duke on the other end, they play differently. They like to shoot threes, and they've got some outstanding catch-and-shoot players. Andre Dawkins is one of them, coming off the stagger double. You go underneath that screen, you're going to allow him to shoot it from the same spot he catches it. Here off a handoff, you go under that screen, it's another catch-and-shoot opportunity. They had 14 threes, Dick, in that first game. I don't think North Carolina can afford to go under those screens again.
I agree with you, Jay. You got to get over the top of the screens. But number two, I firmly believe unless Duke makes a minimum, Dan and Jay, of 10 threes, they have no shot. They have to make the three to survive.
The opening tip-off is moments away. Thanks for watching the Infinity College Basketball Tip-Off live from Cameron. Now let's see how our coaches are inspired.
Inspiration comes from the fans.
The crowd definitely does inspire all of us, players, coaches, and hopefully we inspire them. There's an electricity in the air. You know you're in a special place.
Well, home court advantage is a tremendous factor. You want to protect your home turf.
Inspiration is contagious.
We have a tradition here in a very exciting atmosphere. We treat our fans like they're members of our team. The more they feel a part of what we are doing, the more pep they're going to have.
We're all passionate about what we do. I want our players and our fans to invest. You have to invest in the game. I want you to stand up and cheer.
The fans at Duke stand every second of every game. They will never sit down as long as a Duke basketball player is on the court, and that's the unity we have.
Spread some inspiration of your own. Visit ESPN.com/infinity and help your coach win for his favorite charity.
ESPN America, bringing you the best AHL action all season long. Tomorrow night, the Hurricanes farm team, the Charlotte Checkers, face off against the Lake Erie Monsters, affiliate team of the Colorado Avalanche. Charlotte at Lake Erie, tomorrow night at 2000 GMT, live on ESPN America.
I think you're going to see one of the great players, CJ. Unbelievable backcourt kid. He may score points like Maravich did.
Look at the explosiveness of Chris Jackson to the hoop.
A little dipsy-do. Oh, fade back, baby. CJ, you got it, kid.
Chris Jackson way up into the air. He has 24.
Oh, but you give me a break.
That's 42. Jackson has 53, but Pistol Pete has to be smiling down on what's happening here tonight.
Welcome to Saturday Primetime, presented by DirecTV. It's the ACC on ESPN, and tonight it's a game that will decide the ACC regular season championship as North Carolina and Duke come in with identical records of 13-2. The winner tonight is the outright regular season champion and gets the #1 seed of the ACC tournament next week. The anthem is coming up. Let's send it over to the PA announcer tonight, Trip Durham.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight
North Carolina and Duke meeting for the 234th time, with Carolina leading the all-time rivalry 131-102, the 150th straight time that at least one of them has been ranked. Back to the PA announcer, Trip Durham, for the introduction of the North Carolina Tar Heels. It was less than a month ago that North Carolina and Duke met in Chapel Hill, and a closing 2.5 minutes that fans of both teams will not soon forget. The lead back to 10.
They've really done a dominant job tonight.
Mason defending, Thornton for three. Mason Plumlee with a steal for Duke. Curry buries a three and tipped into his own basket by Zeller.
They got a chance to win it with a three.
Who will take the shot?
Will he make a bigger impact?
Yes! Oh! An incredible finish here in Chapel Hill. Duke with a 13-2 run to end the game and just steal one in Chapel Hill as Carolina didn't get a field goal attempt off, turned it over, missed some free throws, and Duke pulled off a miraculous come-from-behind victory to win that game. Back to the PA announcer, Trip Durham. Senior night for Miles Plumlee. What a special night for him as the all-time winningest coach of men's college basketball, Mike Krzyzewski, readies his team here tonight. Coach K, 926 wins, 4 national championships as Duke gets set to take on Carolina tonight. Let's send it down to the court. And Aaron Andrews, EA.
Dan, we all know about Austin Rivers and that game-winning shot, but what about the guy that basketball sailed right over? And of course, it's UNC senior Tyler Zeller, which down the stretch, he also missed 2 key free throws, tipped in Ryan Kelly's shot. Roy Williams telling me that he's never seen a player take a loss so hard in his entire career. Zeller's comments were, it's not the best moment of my career, but it happened. Since then, Coach Williams says he's played his most consistent best basketball down the 5, 6, 7 games that he's played. It'll be interesting to see how he reacts tonight. Roy said he hopes that Zeller hits the game-winning three-point shot. Very unlikely, though. You never know. Zeller's never made a three in his college career.
Tell you one thing, Aaron, I firmly believe that from that game he's played brilliantly, and he would be my choice as player of the year in the ACC. What about you, Jay?
I would agree with that. Tyler Zeller has been absolutely magnificent in ACC play.
Tell you what, he's picking up from last year. He averaged 25 a game in the NCAA tournament for 4 games.
Here we go. And they're going to re-jump it again. The officials are Carl Hess, Roger Ayers, and Mike Eads here at steamy Cameron Indoor Stadium. 9,314 plus packing their way into this tiny building for this huge game. Zeller. And he'll get started early.
They go right into him. He makes that little curl move in the lane. You know, Jay, they stopped going to him in the second half. He had 21 in the first half.
They did. Harrison Barnes just set a little down screen there. They couldn't switch off because Tyler Thornton was guarding Barnes.
Plumlee defended by Zeller. Nice move by Miles Plumlee.
Miles Plumlee makes like Jay Billis in the post on senior day in '86.
Miles Plumlee playing the best basketball of his career. His brother Mason isn't starting right now. Miles and Ryan Kelly are starting. Mason has not been playing as well the last 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, Coach K said not giving us the kind of basketball we expect.
Harrison Barnes, who was huge in the second half for Carolina in the game against Duke, at least until the last 2.5 minutes when everybody went quiet for Carolina.
Well, he's such an elite jump shooter. If you're going to put a smaller player on him like Seth Curry or Tyler Thornton, he's going to be able to shoot right over the top.
I think he does a better job, Jay. We saw in the second half when he inverts and goes inside and posts.
Plumlee again. Gets it to go. Back-to-back field goals for Miles Plumlee to begin the game.
I tell you, senior day. Jay, what was it like when you played on senior day? Last game, Kenny Smith, Doherty, what was it like?
It was so long ago, Dick, I can't remember.
Zeller, the offensive rebound. One of the big fears, obviously, for Mike Krzyzewski. Henson kept it alive, and it will be Carolina ball.
There he is down in the post. Watch this. Great drop step, great ball fake. Keeps the pivot foot down. Great move on the interior.
Good matchup, Kelly and Henson. Such different styles for the two power forwards.
Well, Carolina reversed the ball. They had Tyler Zeller wide open in the post again.
Barnes being defended by Thornton, and Barnes with superior size will just muscle his way in. Duke, Jay, does not have a true small forward, a 6'7", 6'8" guy who can match up size-wise with Barnes.
Well, that's a great point, Dan. They've traditionally had a 3-man that was versatile enough that Coach K could move him around a little bit like a queen on a chessboard. They don't have that, so it's a difficult matchup to go against Harrison Barnes. But on the other end, whoever that Kendall Marshall is guarding, I think Duke is going to wind up going right at Kendall Marshall and making him guard.
There were times in the first game when Austin Rivers was matched up with Barnes. Remember, everybody said, how's Rivers going to guard Barnes? Barnes is so much bigger. And Rivers, with a bit of foreshadowing, said, well, you know, he's going to have a tough time guarding me as well. Barnes was playing with a bad ankle and eventually gave way as other people like Reggie Bullock covered Austin Rivers, and it's Bullock who's on Rivers right now. Kelly tries a reverse. Henson with a block.
Hey, Kelly's coming off a big game. Had a big game against Wake Forest, 23 points. Played really brilliantly.
It's a career high for the junior. Zeller, a long two is there. And it's 8-4 Carolina. Zeller off to a good start.
Tell you one thing, he's got great touch. He can really run the court and transition. I think the tempo of the game, though, is something that North Carolina likes. They didn't like the tempo down in Virginia, where they were able to survive in a game that was really slow, winning 54-51.
Both teams can really score the ball, Jay. Carolina's at 82 points per game. Duke's at 79 points per game, and they were both in the 80s in the first game on the 8th of February.
Well, Carolina is the better team in transition, and in the last ball game, Carolina didn't score really any points in transition the last 10 minutes of the game, and that was as big a factor as anything in Duke's win.
Rivers trying to shake Bullock. And a block is the call on Bullock. Will send Austin Rivers to the line. Not surprisingly, fellas, we've got some stars in the house. Peyton Manning is here.
Wow.
Well, Peyton Manning is very friendly with David Cutcliffe, the head football coach here at Duke, who is his quarterback's coach at Tennessee.
And there's a familiar face this year. Doc Rivers probably having about as much fun as a dad can have this year. The schedule's worked out pretty well for him. He's got a chance to see a lot of games.
I wonder if he had any kind of connection over in the NBA office and looked at the Duke schedule and said, make sure the Celtics don't play when he's playing.
You guys, I was told today that Peyton Manning hadn't just been here for a little while. He's been here for 6 weeks working out.
Wow. Hey, David Cutcliffe, as you said, great quarterback coach, had him over at Tennessee. He believes in him. I think his brother Eli worked out here too. Big question is, where will he be? Will he be in Indianapolis? There are a lot of teams that would love him.
I think he's happy with the seat he's got right now, though.
Jay, I thought you were going to tell me he was out in a tent in Krzyzewskiville for the last 6 weeks.
It may be.
Rivers misses the three, and the rebound down to Carolina.
I don't think he's going to have a problem getting a seat anywhere in America.
Marshall, nice pass. Zeller, good patience. Kendall Marshall with the assist. He has already set the Carolina single-season record for assists, and he's on the cusp of the ACC record as well.
Well, he only needs 14 to touch Craig Neal. I thought there he should have made the layup. He was wide open for the layup, but he gave it up.
Mason Plumlee in the game for Duke. Thornton from the wing misses the three, and it'll stay at this end of the court.
You know, Jay, the report on Thornton is can't shoot the three. Gonna watch the penetration right here. Well, no, I guess he had to give it up.
Anytime you can draw that big defender over, you're going to be able to dish it off, and he is so good at finding people. You turn your head, and he's going to find the man that you're looking at.
You know, we talked about, I mentioned Thornton shooting threes. He made a big three late in the game against North Carolina and made those two against Kansas.
Here's the wild card for Duke, Andre Dawkins. He can have some huge games, and he's been shut out entirely in 3 games. So inconsistent, but if his shot is falling, it'll go a long way toward helping Duke. What a play in the paint by Marshall.
Tell you one thing, Duke's got to do a better job defending than what they're doing here early in this game. I mean, North Carolina's doing what they want, dictating their shots, Jay.
Well, North Carolina gets easier baskets than Duke does. Duke's degree of difficulty much higher than Carolina's, and that catches up with you unless you hit 14 threes.
Off the glass and good for Bullock, and it's all heels in the early going.
Where's the transition off the pass rather than off the dribble? Marshall getting the ball up the court quickly. Poor job defensively in transition by Duke.
Duke got a lob there, they just didn't throw it.
Curry misses the 3. Mason Plumlee the offensive board.
That's a big-time rebound right there.
Going for the reverse, and it rolls off the rim. The shots are not falling early for the Blue Devils.
I think Duke's worried a little too much about getting their shots blocked right now. You give all that credit to North Carolina, but you've got to go up into shot blockers. You cannot avoid it, or you're giving them the space they need to block it.
Barnes the jumper over Rivers. What a shot.
Tell you one thing, they are executing, getting shots they want. There's that medium range jumper. You've spoken about it. He does a phenomenal job off the bounce on his jump shot.
Well, especially off of one dribble. But right now, North Carolina doesn't have a lot of pressure on them. They've not been forced out of rhythm.
6 early points for Barnes. Ryan Kelly misses the 3. Zeller down with a rebound.
You can't ask for a more open shot off the pick and pop than that. They just missed it.
They play on. Marshall rejected by Mason Plumlee, but they're going to count it. It's a goaltending call, so score the basket. And Carolina with a huge lead in the early going now, 18-5. Kendall Marshall, you think of him more as a distributor. How about this shot? Acrobatic and athletic move by Marshall, and the Harrison to Barnes doing what he does best. Carolina by 13.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. And in part by Infinity, luxury cars that deliver inspired performance.
Back in Durham, North Carolina, it's all Tar Heels so far, leading Duke 18-5. They're still having fun. Remember when Jay did this a few years back and lived to tell the story about surfing down on the court. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Dick Vitale, and Aaron Andrews.
Hey, Dan, quickly, Harrison Barnes, like you mentioned, 6 early points for him. And in the first game against Duke this year, he did finish with 25, but in that first half, he struggled. Of course, Roy Williams telling us tonight, remember, he had that ankle injury. Feeling a lot better tonight, obviously, and Roy Williams saying, look, we have to make shots in order to beat this team.
Kelly gets another look, misses another 3, so Duke is now 0 for 6 from three-point range. They were 14 out of 36 from three-point range in the game against the Tar Heels last month.
They're going to keep firing him, you know that. And you're right, the key guy could be Dawkins. He's had some bad games, some good games. I mean, he goes 1 for 4 against Miami, 1 for 5 Maryland, 1 for 5 Georgia Tech, 2 for 9 Washington. Then he hits 6 threes Florida State, 5 Clemson, 6 against Michigan State in the game that day, 903. Topped Bob Knight's record, Mike Krzyzewski.
Well, Duke's getting wide open shots, just not making them. And I think here's the guy, Austin Rivers. He's got P.J. Hairston on him, a freshman. He needs to take that guy off the dribble.
Hairston into the game along with James Michael McAdoo.
Hey, one thing, he's been doing a better job of that too, Jay. If you look at his numbers the last 8 games, when they've been winning, he's been attacking the rim, going to the free throw line a lot more than he did prior to that North Carolina game.
Curry the miss. Barnes elevates for 3, way short. The rebound down to Duke. Here comes Curry again.
Well, maybe not the best shot they could have taken, but Carolina wants this pace. They'll put up with a shot perhaps they don't like just to get this pace where they can run out like this.
Marshall challenging Rivers, the kick, Hairston. Roy Williams told us pregame he's one of the best shooters he's ever recruited, but it hasn't manifested itself in games this year for the freshman.
Well, that makes him 8 of 50 from three-point range in ACC play.
Rivers, no. Duke 0 for 7 from three-point range.
Tell you what, 8 for 50, I think I might be able to knock some of those down. I really do.
Well, I think Roy Williams is right. He was an outstanding shooter, P.J. Hairston was in high school. But he's had a couple of injuries. He had a hand injury, an ankle injury. It's certainly thrown his rhythm off, but he's a far superior shooter than he's shown in ACC play.
You know, Jay, I think psychologically some of these kids, like Dawkins, like Hairston, they know they're fighting minutes. They know their game is to put the three. And if they're not making it, I think they press, knowing they're coming out of the game, not going to get the typical 30 minutes.
Duke still has made only 2 field goals. They were both by Miles Plumlee, and they were the first 2 shots that Duke took in this game. They've missed their last 12. Hairston, nice look inside. Barnes, tough fadeaway. And the follow by James Michael McAdoo.
Oh, McAdoo. He's going to be special. He's going to be special. Third cousin for Robert McAdoo.
Boy, that's an extra step on that ladder. Impressive.
Mason Plumlee.
He's been struggling offensively. The 2 guys that have been carrying Duke have been the combo in the back. Nobody got battled. Mike Krzyzewski's got to be upset with that.
Well, in back-to-back possessions, guys, we see Mike Krzyzewski's 2 concerns. Offensive rebounding and then getting beaten down the floor in transition.
All I could simply say, Jay, they were down 20 with 11 minutes on the clock against NC State. But this is not NC State.
Yeah, this team has made some comebacks, but right now it's been all Carolina. They have been focused, and they have not been made to change their game in any way, shape, or form by Duke.
Quinn Cook draws the foul. Let's check out McAdoo climbing that ladder again.
There he is right there. Nobody blocks him out. I mean, that's a great bounce off the floor. He's the elevator man. Watch him right here. He's going to come in for the offensive rebound, and there's the jam. Great hands.
Well, what opened that up is 2 defenders went for the block shot. And Duke can block some shots, but when you go for a block, sometimes a strength, shot blocking, becomes a weakness, the offensive glass.
Boy, it's like there is a seal on the basket that Duke is attacking. And multiple subs now for Duke, with Kelly, Curry, and Thornton all checking back into the game. For North Carolina, freshman Stillman White is in. He generally gives Kendall Marshall a minute or 2 each half just to give him a breather. That's a result, of course, of a season-ending injury to Dexter Strickland. Cook, no. Tipped by Miles Plumlee out to Thornton. Curry, way short.
Wow. Wow.
That was actually a big play to get Seth Curry to put it on the floor and get inside that 3-point line. Oftentimes, when Duke tips the ball out, they get a 3 out of it. North Carolina didn't allow it on that possession.
And you know what? He's their better medium-range shooter as well.
The foul on Tyler Thornton. Duke down 17 at home.
North Carolina and Duke, the greatest rivalry in college basketball.
Oh, it is super scintillating, sensational, baby. Yeah, Red Caper.
Back here at Cameron Indoor Stadium with Dick Vitale, Jay Billis, Aaron Andrews, I'm Dan Schulman. The tale of the tape. They have won or shared 47 ACC regular season titles, more than all of the other schools combined. Look at the Final Fours. Look at the NCAA championships. It's what makes it such a great rivalry. Almost every year, both of these teams are in contention, Dick, not only for a conference championship, but theoretically for a national championship as well.
I saw a stat that blew my mind. Since 1979, which was the year that ESPN started, and I did my first game. But let me tell you this. Since that year, 1 point separates these 2 teams. 1 point. Wow, that was the free throw you missed. That was the free throw Billis missed. I know it. I did the game because I called him a blender. He was a blender.
All Carolina. Again, Duke, if you're just joining us, made their first 2 shots. Haven't made a field goal since. No basket, offensive foul on McAdoo.
Not only have they not made a basket, they're 0 for 7 shooting threes. 0 for 7. That's not going to get it done. They better start making some threes if they expect to come back.
Well, Jay, you almost forget. Let's go back 4 months. The preseason #1, and if it wasn't unanimous, it was close. Wasn't Kentucky, wasn't Syracuse, it was North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina's an outstanding basketball team. I still think they're getting better. Nice charge taken by James Michael McAdoo on that play.
You know, I think when you look at them, Jay, when everybody picked them #1, their rotation changed, losing certainly Strickland and McDonald. Most clubs that would lose, as you see the charge, most clubs that would lose a player that's a key player in a rotation would suffer immensely. Yet they still have the potential with what they have to win the national championship.
Yeah, and Reggie Bullock's done a terrific job replacing Strickland, but who's going to replace Bullock? That's the problem.
Barnes called for the foul. On the final day of the college basketball regular season tomorrow, Tim Hardaway Jr. and the Michigan Wolverines, who are headed to the NCAA tournament again, they will visit Penn State. College basketball on ESPN, ESPN3, and also streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app tomorrow at 1 Eastern. John Beeline's got himself a good team. They played Duke back in Maui in November. Jay, you were there for that game.
I was there, and Trey Burke, that was really his coming out party. He is an outstanding freshman.
Curry, and finally, the Blue Devils make a shot.
They need those threes. He's got his dad, Dell. Hardaway Jr., by the way, had a big game in his last game, 25, and he's been struggling.
Bullock to save out to Marshall, plenty of time.
You know, with the three, you can get back in the game quickly. You really can. It can give you such a lift. You knock down 3 threes.
Boy, McAdoo really playing assertively here tonight. Misses the shot, and Bullock is there for the follow.
Well, Bullock came in with a big reputation as a shooter, too.
He is a great shooter, but he's also an outstanding rebounder and has proven that over the course of the year. But North Carolina sends 4 guys to the offensive glass. That puts a lot of pressure on the guards to block out, which they're not used to doing.
And their 2-guard Bullock is 6'7". Their 3-man Barnes is 6'8". It's not just Henson and Zeller. Rivers with a drive.
There's Rivers with that drive.
All Henson can do is save it to Plumlee. Now it's 5-on-4. Henson got caught up with the photographers. Rivers is wide open.
He made 6. He made 6 in game 1.
And Duke making a little noise. Curry and Rivers trying to shoot them back into this game. Marshall the drive and draws the foul.
They've really done that all year. Curry and certainly Rivers lately in particular have been phenomenal. You're going to take a look right here, stepping back, shooting that 3. He does a great job with that step back.
Well, they went right after Kendall Marshall, and they drove him on the next play, and that got everybody to help and left Austin Rivers wide open to step into that 3.
You know, the 7 games that won in a row, Rivers was averaging 14 a game before that, now 18. He was only taking 11 shots. Now he's up to taking 13. And his free throw line, he's gone from 4 free throws a game to 7. Curry on the other side went from 12 points a game to 17. And he increased his attempts on the free throw line. He's doubled the time he's been on the line from 2 to 4.5.
Marshall already with 4 assists in the game. As Mike Krzyzewski was saying, Jay, he's not a break you down off the dribble, get his assist that way. He likened him, Coach K likened him more to Jason Kidd. Obviously, Marshall left-handed, Kidd right-handed, but a guy, just an extraordinary passer. You better be looking, otherwise it'll hit you in the back of the head as Rivers knocks in another one.
Well, he is a pass-ahead point guard, Kendall Marshall is, but Rivers is being very aggressive off the dribble.
And there's an example. Zeller wasn't looking. The pass hit him in the elbow.
Tell you one thing, Rivers starting to get a little bit on fire here. He's an offensive machine when he gets going. He really can attack the rim. He can shoot the 3. He's a streaky shooter.
All of a sudden, he's got 8 points.
You definitely have to take away middle with him. He's driven middle, and Duke is able to get into the middle too easily.
Curry off the glass, left it short. We had a pretty good look at that one, too.
He really did, but he was anticipating a guy coming over to block that shot.
Barnes, no. Cook the rebound. Cook, the backup point guard, rarely turns it over. Outstanding assist to turnover ratio.
I mean, Duke, with a chance to win, has to be Rivers and Curry today on the perimeter making shots for them to have an opportunity to win this game.
But a score here is a single-digit game.
Rivers lost it, but will force the tie-up.
You know, Jay, we were saying there really haven't been a dominant team at home. What do you think is the reason for that?
Well, they're a younger team, and I think they play a little bit better on the road because I think they need each other on the road and feel like they need each other on the road. Sometimes you get a false sense of security at home. You know, it's not like they've been bad at home. What are they, 13-2?
13 and the 2
I think
games.
a lot of people take that, but
hey, they could be 15-0, a little shot here or there. Yeah. I mean, they lost on that 3 by Snare at the end of the game, and then the Miami game, they lose in overtime. They go 0 for 6 on the free throw line.
There are a lot of coaches, most coaches will normally tell you what their team isn't. In doing a number of Duke games this year, and Jay and Dick, you know this as well, Mike Krzyzewski's very happy with where his team is. 26-4 overall, 13-2 in the league, and in line for a potential #1 seed.
Well, he should be very happy. A lot of guys would take 26-4. But, you know, I'm talking about they lost 2 heartbreakers.
Yeah. Right.
They could be 15-0.
Yep.
They could have lost to Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
They could have also lost here a couple of other
NC
games.
State game.
Belmont
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
NC State game.
Mason Plumlee, a quiet night. Left hand doesn't get the bounce, and then commits a foul.
Well, Henson is just so long. Getting it over him is so difficult. He changes shots even when he doesn't block them.
Tell you one thing, you saw the shot blocker deluxe maybe in the last 10 years in Anthony Davis the other day.
But you know what? Anthony Davis and John Henson are a lot alike in their ability to affect the game. You know, you have to game plan around it.
Yep. Anthony Davis affected it to the point to hand Carolina loss back in December when Kentucky played Carolina, blocking Henson's shot at the end of the game. Beautiful feed, and Barnes lays it in.
That was a really nice set play because any time that Henson is on the perimeter, you're looking lob, but they went lob to Barnes. So you're expecting him to set that back screen. He just went to the basket.
Yeah, nobody communicated at all on the screen, on the release.
Mason Plumlee again. Left hand again. This time it goes.
He's got to give him some points in that paint. The reason he's got to give him point production down in a low box, it will stretch the defense a little bit and allow people now to be able to get some good looks in space.
Marshall baseline, the kick. Bullock wide open, a little bit strong on the 3. Follows it up. Count the basket, and then a foul on Bullock. So called for an offensive foul, but the basket will count. Carolina continues to lead by double digits, up 30-17. As you get another look, Bullock, ball out of his hands, then the contact as we step aside with 7:41 to go in the half.
Brian Burr with your studio update, checking in on Baylor and Iowa State. Pierre Jackson for Baylor, the high arcing rainbow gets it to go, and Baylor on the road up 4 on Iowa State. Over on ESPN2, it is Belmont and Florida Gulf Coast, the Atlantic Sun League title game. Winner gets the automatic bid. Upset is brewing. Dan, Dick, and Jay.
All right, Ryan, thank you. Well, speaking of potential upset, there was almost one in the Ohio Valley Conference today. Tennessee State, which handed Murray State its only loss of the season. They only lost by 2 today. As the Racers get the bid, Plumlee gets the jam. And Jay, at about the time Murray State won that game, 15 programs around the country heaved a huge collective sigh of relief that Tennessee State didn't steal a bid.
No question. I mean, those stolen bids can really make you nervous. That's a block.
And it is called that way by Roger Ayers.
I'll tell you one thing, both clubs really struggling defensively. I mean, down in the other end, North Carolina played no defense at all, and they got an open layup. And then right here, I mean, areas coming road. That's a block. There's no doubt it's a block.
And a chance for a 3-point play. John Henson, again, his offensive game so much more developed than it was a couple of years ago. He still struggles from the free throw line. But he can drive the ball, the occasional jumper, left-hand hook, right-hand hook.
Tell you one thing, you're really nice there with that word struggle. I mean, it's below struggle. Well, his sister, by the way, goes to Duke. She's on scholarship, been injured.
Well, I prefer to think of the glass as half full, and he makes exactly 50% of his free throws.
Oh, that's pretty good. I like that. I use that in a lot of motivational speeches. Yeah. I like the glass half full rather than the half empty.
I'll tell you what, when he rebounds and blocks shots, he does all right there. Zeller, his first miss. Barnes with 1 rebound. And comes up with another. Carolina dominating Duke on the glass.
Yeah, really, you look at the numbers. It's better than the 2-to-1 ratio right now on the glass. But we expected that, Jay. They're the number 1 rebounding team in America.
It wasn't nearly that one-sided in Chapel Hill last month. It was a 42-35 edge for Carolina in that game.
Well, Duke got a lot of long rebounds off its missed threes. Yeah. They took a ton of threes. When they missed them, they were able to get some of those long rebounds. But Duke's having some success driving the ball. That can get them to the free throw line, which is the most efficient place to score.
Miles Plumlee, this time Zeller won't get in the air, stays with him, and comes down with a rebound.
That's a tough angle right there. You're a post guy, Jay, played in the post. That's a tough move right there with that angle.
Well, he was asking for a foul. Zeller did a nice job defensively, got a little elbow into his side, was able to push him a little bit and didn't get called. That was a smart play by Zeller.
Tell you what, I love that guy. That guy's a big-time performer.
Harrison Barnes now with 10.
He's multi-dimensional, man. You talk about versatile. He's going to be a solid player at the next level.
I think he could go into the post in this game.
And Mason Plumlee called for the foul. Boy, have we had a slew of charges here in this game. you think, Jay? Was he
Well,
there?
I mean, it's probably a good call the way the rule's written. I just don't like the rule. I think once you have established, once you've gotten into your motion and planted that foot to leave the floor, you've won that spot.
You know, we talked about off the year. I think there are just too many charges being called.
There have been 5 of them called already in this game. Justin Watts is into the game for Carolina. Marshall. Bullock got it. A 3 for Bullock.
Bullock gets that 3, but really created again by Marshall. Good basketball instincts. Mike Krzyzewski got to really be upset with their defensive effort.
And I never got tired, so my dad started calling me AD for all day, and it stuck with me ever since.
I like that, AD, all day.
Yeah, so what's your nickname around here?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really have a nickname. Pretty much just call me Scott.
All day, what's up?
Same.
Hey, bedwetter.
Guys are always clowning, you know. Bedwetter. Told you that in confidence. Johnny, go ahead and get this fax out. All right.
Tomorrow's the final day of the regular season of the college basketball season, and on this final day, ESPN2's got an ACC matchup for you tomorrow at noon Eastern. Florida State, which is locked into the 3rd spot heading into the ACC tournament, will take on Clemson. Clemson is part of a big cluster in the middle of the league. And their spot, their seed in the tournament has not been decided yet. So catch that game tomorrow on ESPN2. Austin Rivers just got called for an offensive foul.
You know, unless Tyler Zeller had a foot on that line, he was established there. You know, that's where Austin Rivers needs to pull up. He moved in a little bit, but it looked like he was there.
Those are calls you can go either way. You really can.
Bullock misses the 3. Watts over the back.
All right, Duke's got to go on a spurt here. They got to try to get a little momentum going into halftime. You're playing 4:51 on the clock. You're hoping that you can get this down to single digits.
You know, it's not like Duke hasn't gotten some open shots. They've had open shots. They've just missed them.
Well, as Mike Krzyzewski said about the first game, we didn't win the whole fight, but we won the last round.
Duke led for most of the first half, as you recall, and then Carolina had a great close to the first half to lead by 3 at the break. Carolina led the entire way in the second half, led by 10 with 2.5 to go, and then Duke outscored them 13-2 to win the game. There's a push on Tyler Zeller.
That's one of the great comebacks in the series. There have been a number of them.
There's so many great numbers when you look at the rivalry. One or both of these programs has been in the Final Four 22 of the last 31 years. Each has won 4 national championships in the last 30 years. This one might be the most remarkable. In 33 of the last 66 meetings, they've both been ranked in the top 10.
That's unbelievable. I think the one that blows me away is 47 ACC championships between both of them, and the rest of the conference has 23. I mean, that is dominant.
Although the folks, and it's incredible, but the folks in Lexington would say, hey,
well,
Kentucky's won more all by themselves than everybody else in the SEC.
But there's not a team like Carolina or Duke, another club, to challenge him.
Marshall didn't mean to, but he banks it home, and the lead is 19.
Well, let me tell you this. He'll take that. He will flat out take that. Because once he improves his range as a shooter, his game goes to an incredible level.
I like the fact that he's taking the shot because you have to respect it. You know, he hasn't been shooting most of the year against NC State. They made him shoot. He scored 22 points.
Cook. Mason Plumlee.
Got to score that, Jay. You got to score that big guy around the basket. You got to convert in that situation.
A little surprised they didn't call something with Henson and Plumlee colliding. Too much contact not to call it.
Studio update. Atlantic Sun Conference Final over on ESPN2. Kevin Cantona with the putback, and an upset brewing. Florida Gulf Coast under 500 on the season, up 8 on Belmont, who went 26-7, lost to Duke by 1. Ivy, Harvard, a half game up on Yale. Yale losing to Penn. Harvard up 10 on Cornell. Guys?
All right, Ryan, thank you. We'll keep an eye on that one as we welcome you back here to Durham. Coming up, the UPS halftime report. Jim Calhoun was back on the sideline for the Huskies today as they took on Pitt and Murray State in a thriller to win the OVC championship.
Tell you one thing, that was a must-win. Having Jim Calhoun back was certainly big but that was an unbelievable. I still think they're going to win a game or two in the tournament. Connecticut.
Big East is wild. Cincinnati and West Virginia got big wins today as well. Jay, you'll be in New York, and I mean, so many combinations and permutations to figure out which of those bubble teams are getting in.
It's a lot of moving parts, and there are a lot of moving parts in this game right now. Seth Curry was down on the baseline. He had a choice of a big guy on each block to come off of. That's a play that they ran several times in the first game. It was successful, and he was able to draw a foul.
Third on Bullock. He goes to the bench. So some minutes here for P.J. Hairston, the freshman out of Greensboro.
Tell you one thing right now, Duke shooting 29%. 2 for 9 from threes, being out-rebounded 26-13, and that, my friends, is why they're down 19.
And 2 for 7 from the free throw line.
It's been an abysmal first half.
Barnes no. Zeller the rebound. Duke ball.
And North Carolina has just gotten so many, well, we call them easy baskets. I'm not sure that's the right name for it because North Carolina's just worked harder to get those easy baskets. Tyler Zeller running the floor, everybody running, and Kendall Marshall passing ahead, and the ball moves faster in the air than it does on the ground. They've just been terrific thus far.
They've got 18 points in the paint already to 8 for Duke. Kelly's had some good looks and can't buy one right now. He made a big basket at the end of the Carolina game last month after struggling to shoot the ball most of that game.
Coming off his career high, 23 last game. Rivers and Curry combined the 4 for 13.
Zeller and an offensive foul. Kelly steps in to take the charge.
I think the officials love putting a hand behind the back. I think it looks good for the camera. It's unbelievable, the charges.
Number 2 on Zeller. Let's get another look, and it's Kelly coming over the help defender. Was he there?
Well, it's close. I mean, they're doing a good job getting there. I'm just not a fan on either end. There have been what I would consider questionable calls with guys just sliding under. They're just about there, but once a guy hits his takeoff foot, I think he's won that spot.
You know, Jerry, you were there for the game. He went to the free throw line 23 times against Maryland, had 20 free throws to break the Smith record of Tyler Hansbrough. Why is he able to go to the line so often?
Well, they kept going into him. Maryland kept fouling, and they probably shouldn't have as much as they did, but North Carolina kept pounding the ball inside.
Curry misses on the drive. Barnes one-on-one, switches hands and draws the foul. It's been a very aggressive and impressive first half for Harrison Barnes.
I tell you, for a whole North Carolina team, very impressive. When you look defensively, you hold Duke to 20 with 2:17 on the clock. You execute offensively. I still think if I'm picking my Final Four, I don't care what happens here today, and I don't care what happens in the ACC tournament. I still have North Carolina as one of my 4.
I do too. I think this is an outstanding basketball team that's continuing to get better. But they can't, one thing they can't have, that was a big third foul on Reggie Bullock. To have him out of the game right now and maybe some aggressiveness taken away to start the second half.
Well, that becomes big because with the loss of guys like Strickland and McDonald, they really don't have that depth factor. And the one thing I agree, and I heard you talk the other day about, they don't have a killer instinct. Let's see right now if they can turn it up, turn the pedal up, and really put them away, or do they allow Duke to get back in the game?
Cook misses the 3, and a push in the back by Miles Plumlee. Is that his 3rd?
And that was an easy call, hands right in the back.
Number 3 on the senior here on senior night, Miles Plumlee.
Tell you one thing, Mr. Schulman, we're watching a team that you and I sat and watched them play, Florida State. And we believe that's a sitting team.
Lost by 33. We're embarrassed by Florida State back on the 14th of January, 90-57. But Roy Williams thinks that his team learned something from that game and it got tougher, and he also thinks they learned something from the Duke loss, and they have played very well. They've won 6 in a row since the Duke loss by an average of almost 15 points per game.
Well, you know what's funny, when you look back to 2009, that's in my judgment, the last truly great team in college basketball, that Tyler Hansbrough-led group that won the national championship in 09. That team lost 4 games.
And this team has lost, both of these teams have lost 4 games right now.
Yeah, one thing, Roy Williams has always delivered when he's had that heavyweight Goliath team. 2005, they were supposed to win it, and they won the national title. Felton and May and company. 2009, the same scenario. Came in number 1. Can they now go for the triple crown and do it again?
They lost at Kentucky by 1 in December. They haven't played Syracuse. Mason Plumlee off the back of the rim. McAdoo can't keep it alive. Jay, do you feel that both Kentucky and Carolina are better teams now than they were in December?
No question. I mean, I think Kentucky's a lot better than they were, and I think North Carolina's significantly better. The problem is Carolina, we've talked about, have had those injuries. And injuries have taken away some of their effectiveness and their ability to outlast people and to wear them down. They can still do it, but not as easily.
Rivers, no.
Tell you one thing, Kentucky makes shots like they did in that game with Georgia. I mean, that score was not indicative as how much they dominated. You were there for that game. They were brilliant. They made 15 threes.
Yeah, people say they can't shoot. They sure could shoot against Georgia. But I'll tell you, Duke is not moving the defense on the other end. They've not been as hard to guard as they've been in past games.
Another putback. This time it's Hairston with a follow jam.
They're having a field day on the glass. Duke, not a very athletic team, not able to rebound with this club, and then you negate that by not making the three. That really equals disaster.
Well, that's 4 guys to the offensive glass, guards not used to boxing out. And to me, that's not necessarily athleticism. That's turning your head and putting a body on somebody, which Duke is not doing.
Rivers will take the bump and shoot a couple of free throws.
See, as this shot goes up, P.J. Hairston on the opposite side. That's just a waltz in from the right wing, and nobody puts a body on him. He puts his body on everybody else as he's dunking it over him.
Well, that's a lost art. Nobody really blocks out. It's really everybody wants to beat you with the incredible bounce off the floor and the art to check it out and block it out. Michigan State does a pretty good job of blocking out. They got a big date with Ohio State.
I think the problem is that guards usually don't block out because most teams don't send 4 guys to the offensive glass. They don't send their guards in that often. Those send their guards around where it says ACC in the lane to try to get something long. Well, Carolina sends their guys to the backboard.
Yeah, Mike was telling us before the game, as you see the club, it sends 4 like that. Most clubs, I used to like to have a 3.5. 3 guys go and 1 guy. But like Mike said, hey, who am I going to send? Rivers? Curry?
Now the rebounds are 32 to 15 for North Carolina. The second chance points, 10-0 so far in this game.
They lead the nation in second chance points when you're talking about North Carolina.
What are we reviewing here? The McAdoo fouls Rivers.
I think we do too much reviewing. I think we review too much. Delay the game, stop the flow of the game, make the call with authority. I could understand something dictating the game.
Maybe we should treat it like somebody running out on the field in football. That we don't show it on television, and the referees will be less likely to go over there.
Mike
oh, yeah, I like that airtime. Yeah. Oh, they like that airtime.
Whatever it was, I couldn't make it out from up here. Whatever it was, the students were yelling. Mike Krzyzewski walked out onto the court, about 6 or 8 feet out onto the court, and told them to stop it. As Rivers makes the first of 2.
It's going to be interesting to see whether Rivers comes back next year. Does he follow the pattern of a Barnes, a Sullinger, and come back for his second year, or does he move on?
(44-22), even with the free throws. Carolina doubling up Duke right now. Less than a minute to go as Dawkins comes back in for the Blue Devils.
That's 2-1. I think you figured that out. That's 2-1. I couldn't go to Duke. I couldn't spell Duke.
And you have to think that North Carolina's going 2 for 1 right here.
And they do to perfection. McAdoo.
I mean, look how easy, wide open. I mean, you're talking about open shots. I know Duke, when you look at their field goal percentage, one of the lowest in the conference. Teams shoot better than 43% against them. But yet they found a way to win.
Cook, left hand. And Carolina can hold for the final shot of what's been an incredible first half for Roy Williams and company.
Well, that is quite a performance for North Carolina to come into this building and put near half 100 on Duke in the first half.
And hold with 24. You to Joe Roy was telling us before the game. He said to us, hey, I know they're going to score a lot of points, so we're going to have to score. Well, they're 24, my friend.
You know what's amazing? Carolina's only made 1 3, and they got 46 points. Marshall, 48.
Tell you one thing, he had a stat line, one of the best. 23 points, 13 assists, 0 turnovers against NC State.
The look says it all on the face of Mike Krzyzewski. A miserable first half for the Blue Devils, shooting the ball, rebounding the ball, defending on the defensive glass, the fewest points in a half this season for Duke. Aaron Andrews is with Duke associate head coach Chris Collins.
Only shooting 27%. Why can't you guys make a shot?
Well, I think they hit us with a punch early. They came out, they got going. We really struggled on the defensive end, and then we got tight offensively. We have to regroup here in the second half and just take it 1 minute at a time. They're an explosive team, but we got 20 minutes to see what we can do.
What do you think the first thing Coach K will tell his guys inside the half?
Well, we have to show some heart. I mean, you can't, we're down by 24 points. We're playing a great team. We got to lay it on the line and just see what happens in the second half.
Thanks for your time. Dan.
All right, Aaron, thank you. 48-24 Carolina. So many Tar Heels having big first halves, including Kendall Marshall. 10 points and 6 assists at the break. When we come back, Reese Davis and the guys deliver the UPS halftime report.
Welcome to the UPS halftime report.
North Carolina came into Duke's senior night with an attitude. Harrison Barnes had 11 in the first half. He didn't make every shot, and when he missed, here's a P.J. Harrison sighting. Flushing on Austin Rivers. They've got him doubled. The Tar Heels are opening up a can of whooping on Duke's backside in Cameron Indoor. Glad to have you with us. UPS halftime report. Reese Davis, Hubert Davis, and Digger Phelps. It started pretty well for Duke on senior night. Miles Plumlee made Duke's first 2 field goal attempts. Then the Devils missed 15 in a row. Why can't Duke stop North Carolina right now? What's wrong with their defense?
Duke is not quick on defense, especially their front line. And when you take a look at what Carolina can do with their front line, they just pound them by going to the glass, hitting shots, getting second chance points. And when Duke stands and boxes out, what they didn't do when you saw the 2 points in there by P.J. Harrison, to me it becomes this factor inside. Going inside, attacking inside. And when you look at Duke, they're not making a perimeter game. The last 6 games, they have done what? Carolina gets it done with points in the paint. Duke on the other side is trying to go outside, can't make it happen. The last 6 games at home for Duke, they got a mindset. They missed 15 shots because it's in their head. Their last 6 games before tonight, they've shot under 40%. Tonight in the first half, they're shooting under 30% because they're rushing shots. They don't have confidence. Their defense is horrible. Their offense is horrible. They're out of sync. And Carolina says, you know what? We let that game get away, game 1. Not tonight. We're coming in and showing you what we can do.
Well, North Carolina has been dominant on both ends of the floor. From a defensive standpoint, we talked about it before the game. They have made Duke a 2-point shooting team as opposed to a 3-point shooting team. And the reason why that we were saying that is Duke can't beat North Carolina inside the arc. They're making those guys put the ball on the floor and finish over shot blocking ability of Tyler Zeller and John Henson. You talked about Duke defensively. They don't have anybody that can guard Tyler Zeller down low on the post. They don't have anybody that can guard Harrison Barnes because Duke has 3 guards. They don't have a conventional small forward. Harrison Barnes can go for 40 tonight. They don't have a guy with length and athleticism that could guard him. And if Kendall Marshall at the point guard position starts getting it going on the offensive end, not only in this game, it's over for North Carolina. You'll see them in New Orleans.
Well, North Carolina is a preseason team. I think, as you said earlier this morning, people sort of forgot about them after the loss to Florida State and after the loss late against Duke. Look at the difference in the first meeting and the meeting tonight. Duke is not shooting it well from 3 or not shooting it well from anywhere, and that's largely because Hubert's been talking about it all week. North Carolina's doing a pretty good job getting over the top of screens. Duke's not getting those clean looks, and when they have gotten a couple of them, they haven't been able to knock them down, and Carolina's blowing this thing out. Also, senior day for Syracuse against Louisville. Scoop Jardine in the orange celebrating. Deion Waiters, Chris Joseph for 3. Orange up by 16, and Brandon Trish finds Joseph for the dunk, Digger.
Brandon Trish finds Joseph for the dunk, and they just combined for 35 points themselves. But the fact is this. Louisville shoots under 40% for the game. Same problem. They can't score.
Pitt and UConn. Jim Calhoun coming back after back surgery facing Pitt. Jeremy Lamb to Roscoe Smith.
I think Roscoe Smith has played great. They put him in the start lineup. He has responded. He's scoring points in the paint and also doing an excellent job rebounding the basketball. That's your guy, Coach.
You know, we saw Jim Calhoun coming back. He was almost down in a defensive stance coming back after having some back surgery, some discomfort from the surgery, but the back pain is pretty much gone. Couple other scores of note. Marquette 83-69 over Georgetown. Golden Eagles going to be the 2 seed in the Big East. And South Florida lost the game to West Virginia that could hurt their bubble chances. Still a week and change to go until Selection Sunday. Just over an hour away from the Big 12 champions, the Kansas Jayhawks and Tyshawn Taylor, averaging more than 18 points per game in Big 12 play. He'll take on the Longhorns. Longhorns in need of a signature win as well for their tournament resume. Baylor taking on Iowa State. Both these teams going to the tournament. Oh, it's Perry Jones' third.
Boy, he's fighting his game. I think he's back. He had a double-double the other night. He hasn't woke up. Keep him in that coma.
Pierre Jackson knocks down the three. Look at this one. Baylor and Iowa State. Baylor's number one on the women's side. You might have seen that one. They're not number one the men's side, but they're playing very well in this one. UPS halftime report rolls on. We'll tell you who's making it to the NCAA tournament with a ticket punch.
To work for you. This halftime report is delivered by UPS. Let UPS put the power of logistics to work for you.
Back here in Durham, halftime, North Carolina doubling up Duke 48-24. A couple NBA games on Sunday. Started with Kia NBA Countdown. Jeremy Lin and the Knicks taking on the Celtics. Heat and Lakers will follow at 3:30 Eastern Time on ABC. Murray State have lost just once. The only team to beat them this year has been Tennessee State. They were facing off in the OVC championship game. What a job Steve Prohm has done. 12 seconds left, tied at 2. 52, I should say. Murray State come from 9 down. Jawan Long giving them the lead, and with 1 second left, Tennessee State would have one last chance. They've missed a shot, got the ball out of bounds for another one. Robert Covington can't connect, and Murray State helps out a bubble team by winning 54-52. All right, we need to do a little house cleaning here because Baylor and Iowa State, this is the men's score. Earlier over the highlight, you saw the women's score. It looked a little funny to us, and now we know the Bears are only up 7 on Iowa State at Ames at halftime. 37-30 is the score. A much larger margin in our game, 48-24. North Carolina has the lead on Duke. Seems impossible for the Tar Heels to lose it. What do they need to do to maintain their intensity in the second half?
Well, that is something that North Carolina has struggled with all throughout the year. But after that game against Duke, this won't happen. You talked about what Coach Williams said before the game. Losing to Duke that way refocused this team. They will come out and know that they have to play the same way in the first half in the second half, Coach.
Kendall Marsh has got to lead the attack. He's had a great first half getting the assist. The front line is playing solid. Duke's got to try to get it back to within region. And when I say within region, try to get it to 9. If they get it to 9, they get the crowd momentum back. They got a chance to pull this off.
Well, Kendall Marshall came into this game needing 14 assists to tie the ACC single-season record. He got 6 of them in the first half. Harrison Barnes with 11. Tar Heels up big.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Acura, Acura Advance, and Red Lobster's Lobster Fest. Don't miss it. Come in today for the largest variety of sweet, succulent lobster.
Welcome back to Saturday Primetime, presented by DirecTV.
Then after the first game, you hear all about it, into the next game. So now here we are, both identical records. I couldn't picture it better.
Anytime Carolina comes in, no matter what the records are, it's going to be a great environment in here. The intensity and the camera's going to be turned up another notch, and it's going to be deafening.
Camera crazies are some of the best in the country. It's by far the biggest game of the year for both of us.
You play 16 games for basically this one game. Hopefully we can go in and get revenge and be able to pull out the ACC title.
All I know is UNC and Duke are playing in the same gym. I'm looking at it as an opportunity to win a championship.
It's the ACC on ESPN, and tonight it's a game that will settle outright the ACC regular season championship. And in the first half, it was all Carolina, 48-24. They lead Duke as we are underway here in the second half.
Total domination. You look at all the stats, rebounding, shooting the 3. Duke was negligent. They didn't rebound and they didn't defend. Let's see what they come out and play with some pride and have some heart and try to play this game in segments.
Zeller off the glass, 50-24, Carolina, and this is the largest deficit that Duke has faced at any point in any game this year. They were down 25 to Ohio State early in the season in Columbus, a game that the Buckeyes went on to win easily. And a foul on Zeller. Number 3. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Dick Vitale, Aaron Andrews with you here on Senior Night at Duke. Miles Plumlee is the only senior for Duke. Scored the first 2 baskets of the game. But it was all Carolina after that. Carolina shooting over 50%. Duke is shooting 27%.
Well, this is a real test. It's a test of Duke's toughness to see if they can hang in there, make a comeback, and it's also a test of Carolina's killer instinct. Can they put this team away and put this game completely out of reach?
Boy, Miles Plumlee's been the best thing going offensively for Duke tonight.
Well, there's Plumlee in the lane. He's able to spin in that lane and get that little hook shot. They got to go on some kind of spurt, man. You talk about a spurt. They need a big time spurt.
Curry can't find any space. Trying again. Kelly. Got it.
Little acrobatic. Wasn't really a routine shot. Got a little life there. Cut the lead. The deficit to 22. Remember this, guys. I know it's not North Carolina, but they were down 20 with 11 on the clock against NC State.
Henson left hand. Rebound Plumlee.
Henson's been really quiet offensively. Had a good game the first matchup.
Kelly. Miles Plumlee working hard for the rebound.
He's a good athlete, man. He had 22 rebounds in the game this year, Jay, against Maryland in 25 minutes.
Well, over his last 7 games, he's averaging about 12 rebounds a game.
Rivers. And Zeller down with a rebound. Duke has made only 2 threes in this game. Remember, they made 14 of them in the first game against Carolina.
Well, it had 10 between Curry and Rivers. Rivers a very streaky long-range shooter.
And Henson fouled by Kelly as we check in with Aaron Andrews.
Guys, I had a chance to catch up with Roy Williams coming out of the half. He said, second half stays the same. Same plan, keep attacking, under control. I said, Coach, did you mention anything about the first game against Duke and how they chipped away at everything in the second half? And he said, absolutely not. I stayed away from it.
All right, Aaron, thank you. Carolina was up 10 with 2:34 to play in that game. And Duke won it. Carolina's up 22 now. 3-on-1 for Duke after the turnover. Curry.
It's amazing. Today you run for the 3 rather than the deuce.
Yeah.
In transition.
Instead of the layup. They'll take it. 7-0 run for Duke. Barnes called for the offensive foul.
Little momentum going to the side of the Blue Devils, Mr. Billis.
Well, Harrison Barnes had an advantage in there, and that a terrific drive of the closeout by Reggie Bullock, but he lost the ball, and Mason Plumlee, an outstanding passer leading the break. And you're right, Dick. You've got a guard at that 3-point line now. No longer do the lanes run to the rim, they run to the line.
Yeah, they run to that, shoot that trifecta.
You know, it's amazing, guys. There have been 11 turnovers in this game. And for those who don't know, an offensive foul is a turnover in the stats. 8 of the 11 turnovers in this game have been charges. Only 3 of them have actually been throwing the ball away.
I'm a little surprised to see Harrison Barnes kind of go into the defense there. Usually when he gets the ball in the post, he's going to shoot a turnaround jumper, go straight up and down, or fade away. That's unusual for him.
You know, it's really a scare, a little, intimidation in terms of you worry as a coach. The fear factor that maybe North Carolina starts playing the scoreboard and gets a little relaxed out there. But Duke is going to turn it up right now. You know they're going to play at a high pitch.
Let's keep in mind, Zeller's got 3 for Carolina. Miles Plumlee has 3 for Duke. The crowd counting down the shot clock. Thornton has to launch. It hits!
When that goes down for Thornton, that could mean good things happening for Duke.
Tough shot by Zeller.
When in doubt, go to the post, bring it in a hand. He'll convert. He can flat out score inside. He has great foot moves on the interior. Really does a great job with his footwork, Jay.
He took a bump and still completed that play. It's not like North Carolina has to get stop after stop. They just have to be tough and score.
Mason Plumlee fouled by Henson, going right into the chin of the shot blocker. Signs of life from the Blue Devils here in the early minutes of the second half. Can they get hot from outside? Thornton with a 3. The deficit's down to 18.
This game is streaming live on your computer, tablet, or smartphone via WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app.
Mike Krzyzewski, you can imagine why, upset in the first half as his team was manhandled. But now it's Roy Williams who is not so happy. Trying to make sure the intensity stays up for Carolina. Duke has now outscored Carolina, Jay, 11-4 in the second half. Miles Plumlee to the bench. He's got 3 fouls. Ryan Kelly comes in. That'll switch Mason Plumlee on to Tyler Zeller.
You know, Jay, you've sat in that locker room for 4 years. You're coming in with a big deficit like this. What would Coach K be really like in that locker room?
Well, it depends. He's got a great feel for things. Sometimes he'll tear paint off the walls and go after you, and other times he'll try to pick you up. It depends on your mood and what's the best for you as a player and as a team.
Do you think this first half for Duke was less about not competing and more about just not making shots?
It's a little bit of both.
Henson inside over Plumlee.
I think it's a little bit about the fact that North Carolina is much more talented. That front court is an NBA front court. I'm not convinced I would take the Bobcats front court over that front court.
Well, they've got 4 first-round draft picks on their team in their starting lineup. Plumlee, yes.
Plumlee's starting to get a little assertive on the inside, give him some point production. He was thinking about it. He was thinking about it.
Yeah, smart not to take it, run some offense.
Marshall has the pass deflected, bounces to Bullock, who buries the 3.
He's had a really good game, Jay. He's made Rivers work on the offensive end, and he's put points on the board. I think he's got like 12 points.
He's got 12, exactly right, tied with Tyler Zeller for the most in the game tonight. Mason Plumlee starting to make things happen.
Well, you know, Zeller's got 3 fouls, so he's not really checking.
And a goaltending call, and Mike Krzyzewski can't be happy. Again, Zeller beats the bigs down the court.
I think he's the best big guy running the court in America.
I don't think there's any question. You know who's not far behind, though? His brother Cody at Indiana.
Yeah.
He's going to be special. Absolutely special. They say word is that he's probably going to come back. And that is obviously a key because they got a terrific recruiting class coming in next year.
Zeller has gone to the bench for Carolina.
That was a terrific hedge on the ball screen by John Henson.
Count the basket for Miles Plumlee.
I tell you, the Plumlee brothers are really rising to the occasion. They really responded. Gonna watch him right in here. There's Miles. It's senior day. It's his last time in a uniform here at Cameron Indoor Stadium.
And of course, a big night, an emotional night for his parents. Mom Leslie, Dad Perky are here at Duke tonight, and they're watching Miles Plumlee score 10 points and rip down 7 rebounds already with 14 minutes to go.
You know, Duke's really played really strong here to start the second half, but they're still down 18.
It was 24 at halftime.
Well, that's why North Carolina has to continue to attack, be patient when they're playing 5-on-5, and go for it in the open court. You know, if they're efficient offensively with this kind of lead, they cannot lose.
You know, I agree with you, Jay. It's all about taking good shots. If they take good shots, are efficient, really, they will be effective.
A touch foul called on Tyler Thornton. Final day of the college basketball regular season is tomorrow, and ESPN has Michigan at Penn State for you at 1 o'clock Eastern time. College basketball on ESPN, ESPN3, and also streaming live on WatchESPN.com. Jay, Big Ten question for you, Northwestern. What are you thinking?
Well, they're close. You know, that win over Michigan State. They've also got a win over Seton Hall. Boy, Kendall Marshall off the drive. He doesn't have superior quickness, but with his strength, can get by you.
Yeah, he really does. He does a good job getting by people. Better than what I saw earlier in the year. That's a confidence factor too, Jay.
He was aggressive offensively late in the year last year.
And Rivers called for another charge. It's his 3rd foul. I think all 3 of them have been charges as Doc looks on in dismay here at Cameron.
You know, he gets a little bit out of control. There's no doubt about it. He has a tendency to not understand where he is on the floor. That might have been a good call.
Looked like Bullock's there, sure.
Yeah, you give Reggie Bullock, he won that spot. You give him a lot of credit. You know, he's got 3 fouls as well, and came over there and laid his body on the line.
There are 6 players, 3 on each side already with 3 fouls.
So I think teams lose leads when they get sloppy like that with the ball, and take bad shots. If you take good shots, you're going to really sustain that lead.
Miles Plumlee has become the go-to guy tonight for Duke.
That was a great post move. Squared his body to the glass. Really got good inside position. All you young kids out there, learn to drop step and square that body to the glass.
Well, the first thing he did was he got an angle and kept that angle.
Henson with about a 17-foot jumper.
Can't answer it. You got to be able to play great defense. You can't allow just exchange baskets.
Rivers. And Plumlee just got his 4th foul. Arguably the most effective player that Duke has had tonight is going to have to go to the bench with 4.
It looked like he pushed in the back, but you know, sometimes an old trick when you've got in-tight position and can't get the ball, you just act like you've been pushed. And not that I ever did that, but I heard about it.
I was going to ask you, did you do it or did you have it done to you?
Actually, I did it to Greg Dreiling in the national semifinals in Kansas one year. I think he picked up his 5th doing that. Sorry, Greg. I shouldn't have done that.
Stillman White in at the point now for Carolina. Marshall to the bench. Barnes with Dawkins on. Air ball.
Tell you what, when you're up 20, you can be a little bit versatile on that bench as a coach. You have many more options.
Well, Harrison Barnes, that's 2 times he's tried to go essentially 1-on-5 without the ball moving from one side to the other. And that's an area where I think North Carolina can improve. And that is get it with their better shot selection. When they are playing 5-on-5 to move the defense and then attack it.
So much is about shot selection. It really is. Good teams take good shots, and that's how you usually win.
Both teams are hot here in the second half. Kelly, where they're going to need to make a whole slew of threes, Dick, though, if they're going to get back into this game.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Kelly has really been a non-factor scoring-wise. He has really had a tough time here shooting the ball.
Henson elevates again and makes another jumper.
So one thing, when he's making jump shots, with his shot blocking ability, his rebounding ability, that wingspan, A+. Look at it. They come out, they're fired up, and they're still 22.
Yeah, with all that, Duke has only cut 2 points off the halftime deficit.
Studio update. Checking in Atlantic Sun final over on ESPN2. Winner gets the automatic berth to the NCAA tournament. Belmont really struggled in the first half, not the second. Now a 5-point lead, 11:20 to go. Just a reminder, coming up next year on ESPN, Jacobin Brown and Texas. One of the last 4 in, according to Lenardi, head to Kansas. Guys?
All right, Ryan, it's a busy bubble these days with teams falling on and off. Joe Lenardi's bubble will know more very soon on the last day of the regular season, and then championship week begins. The slam for Mason Plumlee.
They're getting that post position inside. Zeller on the bench, getting that wide open down their lane, taking advantage of it. They're right now 9 for 12 in the second half, yet they're still down 20.
They haven't been able to get stops. Carolina's 8 for 11 in the second half.
Wow.
Boy, John Henson is making some shots.
Oh, wow. Are you serious? Look at Mr. Zeller making like a cheerleader. Aaron Andrews is making like a cheerleader.
A dozen all of a sudden for Henson. Made a couple of jumpers and then an off-balance left-handed hook shot.
Wow, look at that. Look like Billis back in his days.
Back at Duke, Dan Schulman, Dick Vitale, Jay Billis, Aaron Andrews. Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV and North Carolina. Just has been on some kind of a roll all night long. The free throw for John Henson has been a monster here in the second half. It is 68 to 45. It was 48-24 at the half. Duke made a run, had a 10-0 run here in the second half, but Carolina has responded, led by Henson.
I'll tell you this, North Carolina has shown today why they are definitely a legitimate threat to win the national title.
Bolton with a 3.
Duke was just setting a little diagonal up screen, a little diagonal cross screen to get Mason Plumlee into the low post, and when Kendall Marshall helped off, that left Thornton wide open.
Now turnover. Rivers.
Give it up. Give it up.
Plumlee with a slam.
Plumlee with the jam. The Cameron Crazies like it, but the scoreboard still says plus 18 Tar Heels.
Nearing the midway point of the second half. Marshall wide open.
Basket went in. They're going to count it?
Yeah, they have to count it.
I mean, he's wide open right there. We're going to watch this right now. Rivers going to give it up for the dunk. There's the bounce pass, there's the catch, and there's the jam by Mason Plumlee. On the other end, Mike was telling us, if you allow Marsh to set up and shoot that little set shot, he's going to make it. And that's what he did down there with the three.
The foul was on Harrison Barnes, his third. It was away from the ball after the shot was in the air, so count the three for Marshall. They just sagged right off him, dared him to take the open shot. He used the rim and the backboard, but he made the three.
Carolina defended that little screen for the screener play by Duke very well, but they're getting one-on-one situations in the post and taking advantage of it. The problem is Carolina has been doing a good job of scoring on the other end, and that's what they need to do. They can't expect to get stop after stop. They need to be strong offensively, too.
You know, I think Duke has taken advantage of the fact in the post and Zeller with 3 fouls, and he's just backing away from him.
Rivers the drive. What a finish!
That was a terrific drive right there. Very strong, very aggressive, went to the goal, assertive line.
Duke has been making North Carolina take it out of the net and run offense 5-on-5, and that's not their strength.
Nearly stolen by Plumlee, shoveled it blindly into the hands of Marshall. And now Roger Ayers blows the whistle. They want the shot clock reset. Here's the drive by Rivers, Dick.
They're going to take a look at right this down his drive. Very aggressive, very strong. Good body control to convert that. Was a terrific high school player out of Orlando.
DJ Hairston in the game for Carolina. Zeller and Kelly really going at it for post position. And it's going to be Kelly called for the foul.
Well, Zeller is so good off that duck in, off ball reversal. He just ducks into the lane. And if you're not playing him on the line and up line, playing him early, he's going to be able to get that angle on you. He did a good job of drawing that foul and selling the call.
Somebody told me he came out of the game. You did the game. Is this true? With about 7.5 minutes to go and had 30 against Maryland?
Oh, yeah, he could have had more. I mean, he could have had 30 free throw attempts.
Good cut by McAdoo. Blocked by Mason Plumlee.
Plumlee's played a lot better here in the second half.
Miles has 4 fouls, so he's gone to the bench, but he was the best player Duke had until he picked up that 4th foul. Now Mason's playing well.
It's all about shot selection here in North Carolina with that lead. Understanding what a good shot is, take a little time off that clock.
Marshall. Plumlee the rebound.
He is playing hard. He is really playing hard.
Just a bit of a forearm as he went by Bullock. Didn't throw it, but made some contact with Bullock as he ran up the court.
They got Zeller on right now, Kelly, because they know Kelly's more a perimeter player. He'll step away.
Curry.
He gets his shot going. He can shoot the jumper. Rivers and Dawkins can put points on the board quickly. Dawkins has been a non-factor tonight.
Well, they've not done a good job handling those ball screens, and Duke's offensive efficiency has been a big factor in the second half of slowing down North Carolina because they haven't gotten any transition.
Their second shot again, though, Jay, and that has been a trademark all year in North Carolina. They lead the nation in offensive rebound.
And in rebound margin. Knocked away out of bounds, off Marshall, and back to Duke. The Blue Devils are on a 12-3 run, trying to mount another improbable comeback against North Carolina.
If they can get this down to 10 with 5 minutes to go, this place will be rocking.
Mason Plumlee with the block. Seth Curry with the 3. 14-point lead now, Carolina.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. And in part by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
We lost a game that we could have won. If we don't learn something back and come back and even be more determined, then I got the wrong group. And I don't think I have the wrong group. If we start laying around and feeling sorry, oh, my ankle's hurting, my knees hurting, my head's hurting, you know, get your butt out of the locker room, because by God, we're going to come back and go to work.
Well, they've gone to work pretty well, winning 7 in a row since that loss to Duke. The lead is now to 14 right now as we check in with Aaron Andrews.
And Dan, while Roy Williams told me he didn't bring up the second half of the game against Duke in February, I will tell you, I've just sat and watched John Henson's body language. for the past 5 minutes. His eyebrows were raised. He was throwing his towel on the ground, almost looking like, oh no, this can't happen again.
Tell you one thing, Duke has shot 14 for 18. That's amazing. And you're still down 14.
In the second half. Carolina shooting 59% in the second half. That foul went on Mason Plumlee. It's his fourth. So, Jay, both Plumlees now have 4. Mason to the bench, Miles back into the game.
Well, that's the rebounding strength of North Carolina. Both Mason and Miles Plumlee have gotten a number of pushing fouls on the glass. And that's been the difference in they're picking up those 4 fouls. And that means North Carolina has to continue to pound the ball inside because guys with 4 fouls do not want the 5th.
And it's bonus time for Carolina. Marshall gets the roll on the front end.
Tell you one thing, you go 14 for 18 and you're losing like this, that means you're not defending, stopping on the other end.
Look at some of the comebacks that Duke has had, of course, against Carolina. Down 10 with 2.5 to go. Down 20 here against North Carolina State. Came back and won the game down as many as 26 in this game. They're down 16 right now with 7 minutes to go.
Such a struggle when you're trying to come back from that deficit against a quality team.
Curry too strong. Miles Plumlee just right.
He's a good time, big time athlete. He's got very good athletic ability.
Having some kind of a senior night. 14 points, 7 rebounds already.
It might be a subtle thing, but North Carolina was able to chase Curry off that 3-point line. And that's a big factor, not giving Duke threes, making them take tough twos.
Also right there, Harrison Barnes, 1-on-1, got into the lane.
A foul on a 3-point attempt. Curry will head to the line.
Yeah, not a smart play right there by Barnes.
That's his 4th foul, isn't it?
It is. Number 4 on Harrison Barnes.
There's the contact from out of Iowa. They got a kid coming in from Iowa, Paul Biancardi, who does a great job with our recruiting news. He says this kid, Marcus Page, is something else. He had 40-90 the other day in a state tournament game. They say he's phenomenal.
Yeah, outstanding point guard prospect, a lefty. Just terrific player.
And Paul and the rest of the gang at ESPN who do such a great job on recruiting, ranked Carolina's class in the top 5. Duke right now has only 1 confirmed player for next year.
Yeah, we met him tonight.
That's right, Rashid Suleiman, who we met.
Yep, Suleiman.
Nice young man, 6'3", out of Houston. But there's some other big names who are in the building checking out the Dukies tonight, official visits.
Jefferson's here, keep on him at Jefferson, big time player. And Shabazz Muhammad, they say he's special, Joey.
Barnes will go to the bench, having picked up his 4th.
Now can they get a stop? They got to get a stop. They haven't been able to come up with really good defensive stops.
If you're Roy Williams, this clock cannot move quickly enough. Still 6:20 to go.
I did Zeller some touches now. He hasn't touched the ball for quite a while. I try to find him on a post. Down inside.
This has become essentially a half-court game.
Marshall driving on Rivers.
Well, most clubs want to play Carolina half-court game. They want to get him in transition over the top.
Zeller over the back. Foul number 4.
No doubt about that one. No doubt about that one.
When North Carolina had Duke in a pretty good foul situation, and with a couple of what I would consider dumb fouls, gave the advantage right back.
Yeah, Barnes with the 3, and there's one right there over the top. You got 3 fouls.
Hey, you didn't have inside position. You're going over the top. That might be a rebound you could get 1 in 10 times, and certainly not over a guy who's 6'10", 6'11", the kind of athlete that Plumlee is.
You were talking yesterday on ESPN. I caught it about they're too nice. You see a little of that right now that they're not putting them away.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you're going to be taken out of transition at times throughout the course of games. It's easier to slow a game down than it is to speed one up, and North Carolina always wants to speed one up. But I think the way you run offense with the lead is a measure of your toughness. You have to be tough offensively, too.
Bullock, no.
They can get it to single digits.
Yeah, it's been forever since it was single digits.
They can get it to single digits. This would be big, this possession.
Early in the first half, I think. They were down so big so early in this game. Good position by Plumlee.
Had the shot he wanted right in the lane.
Plumlee was lucky. He got away with a push there on Henson first. He
because
pushed Henson
it
first.
would have been out for him. Not only did he get away with fouling him, perhaps, but they get the ball back.
Could have been his 5th.
Wow.
Well, you give a lot of credit for the aggressiveness. There was no foul there. They both went after the ball, but I thought he got away with a push early. But good aggressiveness by Plumlee.
Curry.
You'd love to get an open look for Curry.
Got a clean look and missed a 3. That would have been huge.
Every possession gets huge. When you're down 11, man, and again, the winning time, the last 5 minutes, every possession becomes big to you.
Carolina was up 26 in the first minute here in the second half.
And if they get a score here, they put a little bit more distance and have a little less game pressure on them. If that 3 had gone down by Seth Curry, all of a sudden these shots are a little tougher because of that game pressure.
Tell you one thing, showing some patience here, some poise.
Marshall the miss, Duke the rebound. 4:45 to go.
North Carolina giving them an opportunity.
Not used to seeing Carolina walk the ball up the court, but they're using some clock. Not scoring. Rivers, and he is bumped. Good call.
Looked like he got tripped going to the goal.
And it's bonus both ways.
Stops the clock, gives you a chance to put points on the board.
So 1-and-1 coming for Rivers, a 65% free throw shooter.
Tell you what, you're right, Dan. The 4:34 on the clock is like an eternity to Roy Williams right now, thinking about what happened in Chapel Hill.
Well, they have missed so many free throws at front end of the 1-and-1, like missing 2 of them.
He wants to take some time off right here.
They're 10 for 18 from the line tonight, Duke.
And you know Roy Williams waiting till the under 4 timeout to get Tyler Zeller back in there. He needs him.
I think they're a little uncomfortable with this kind of rhythm.
Yeah.
They really don't look comfortable.
Shot clock down to 7.
They're playing not to lose rather than play to win.
Marshall with a foot on the line knocks down a long jumper.
He has been spectacular.
Tell you one thing, he's become a better scorer.
Marshall with 19 points and 9 assists tonight. Curry creates a little space, in and out. Plumlee had it, and it'll be out of bounds to Duke when we come back. Still 13 is the lead, 3:43 to go. The lead back to 10.
They've really done a dominant job tonight.
Mason defending, Thornton for 3. Mason Plumlee with a steal for Duke. Curry bellies a 3 and tipped into his own basket by Zeller.
They got a chance to win it with a 3.
Who will take the shot?
Will he make a bigger impact?
Rivers! Oh! An incredible finish here in Chapel Hill. A huge comeback by Duke to win the game at Carolina last month. Can the Blue Devils mount another comeback here tonight? They were down 26 early this half. They're down 13 now. But Carolina's got the ball. And again, we'll see some patience in all likelihood from the Tar Heels as we've seen in recent minutes.
John Henson really saved a bucket there. Duke went to a 1-4 across the free throw line, and Miles Plumlee set a little screen for his brother Mason. He had a shot that he can make, and Henson really changed it.
Barnes playing with 4 fouls for Carolina. Both Plumlees playing with 4 fouls for Duke.
And that's where you want the ball. You want the ball in the hands of Marshall. They're going to pop it out to him. He's always looking to make that intelligent play, very heady player.
This is the 3, and McAdoo, the uncontested rebound.
How many times we've seen guys go unmolested, Jay? Nobody puts a body on a guy, blocking out. Has been absolutely a disaster here tonight for Duke.
Well, North Carolina ran better offense there. They went to a box set, they moved the ball a little bit, and after they took a shot, it's easier to get a rebound when you've made the defense move.
Curry misses the driving layup. Now it's 15. Now 2.5 to go. Again, Carolina walks it up the court. There was a moment when Duke was down 11 and Curry had a clean look at a 3 at about the 5-minute mark. It didn't go down. And Carolina, for the moment at least, has withstood the damage.
Laux. Snare. He made it.
Welcome back to Cameron. Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV. Mike Krzyzewski not happy, especially in the first half, as his team was down 24 at halftime. They've played much better. They've certainly shot the ball much better in the second half, and with all the work they've done, Carolina is still up 15 with the ball, 2.5 to go, and edging closer to the outright ACC regular season championship.
Well, you know, North Carolina, to me, two major factors why they've been a +15 here. Their rebounding ability and the ability to contain Duke with the 3-ball. They've done a great job all night with that.
Thornton with a steal. Missed the layup.
This game is academic. It's over. Putting in a book for the ACC regular season champs.
And number 1 seed as Barnes has a chance at a 4-point play. 82-64.
Personally, I thought he shot the ball too quickly. I really did. You had a lead, you're up big like that. You want to take time off, but he converted, so it becomes great shot. Great shot.
Well, one thing that North Carolina has done a really good job of in this game, they've contained Austin Rivers. You know, 29-point performance in that first game. He was next to unstoppable. He's got a dozen in this one, but they've done a good job of really taking him out of the game.
And now we've been told it was an inadvertent whistle, no foul on the play. So the 3 is good for Barnes, and it's Duke's ball.
Tell you one thing, Reggie Bullock's done a good job. He's put points on the board, and he's really challenged and made Rivers work hard to try and score.
And they've hedged well off ball screens, especially John Henson. He's hedged out hard, made him change his path.
Mason Plumlee with the finish.
He's really had a strong second half.
Let's look ahead, guys. The feeling is Kentucky and Syracuse are locks for number 1 seeds. The feeling was among many, if Duke won again here tonight, beating Carolina for the second time this season, already with a higher ranking, that they would have a real inside track on a number 1 seed. How does this result change things in your mind?
Well, you know, I thought if Duke would have won it, it would have locked the number 1 despite what might have happened in the ACC tournament. But right now, I think Kansas is going to go on and win out there, and I look for Kansas to be that 3rd one. I think the 4th one's going to come down, North Carolina, Duke, and maybe an outside shot, Michigan State.
Jay, what do you think?
I agree. Yeah, I think that North Carolina, if they obviously they're looking like they're going to win this game. They win this game, they win the ACC championship. I think they lock one up.
I agree with you, Jay. I don't think there's any doubt about it. This team is starting to really peak at the right time. We've all talked about their talent level.
I just like the level of toughness they showed. You know, they took one on the chin in Chapel Hill. It was a very difficult loss, a game they felt like they should have won. And they've come into a difficult environment, and they punched first, and they threw a knockout blow.
They really did. They threw a Muhammad Ali right cross to the jaw, and they had him on the deck, man. They made him look a little bit like Chuck Wepner.
Well, let's look at some of the contenders for number 1 seeds. These are the top 6 ranked by their current RPIs. So Duke actually, and this is obviously before tonight's game, with a number 2 RPI, Carolina at 5. You look at the strength of schedules, Michigan State and Duke with the strongest schedules. Carolina and Duke will have split their 2 games, so maybe it will come down to the ACC Tournament Championship game if they both get that far.
No, I really believe that is definitely a true analysis, my friend. I think that North Carolina would have to win the ACC Tournament to get that number 1 seed, and I think they can't do that. I think this club is really talented. I would love to see a rematch. North Carolina and Kentucky on a neutral floor.
A 1-point win for Kentucky in Lexington earlier this season. You know, the only thing the Duke-Carolina rivalry has lacked, the only thing.
NCAA tournament?
They've never played.
See, I think
there
like
you go. That frightens me. They've never met in the NCAA tournament, ever.
It's hard to believe. Hard to believe.
You talk about the ultimate trump card in an argument about the rivalry, that would be it.
Yeah, you're right. Zeller again.
Final play right there. All I can simply say, the ACC regular season, they are simply the best of all the rest. As Tina Turner would sing in concert. You don't follow Tina, but Tina would sing that. Simply the best of all the rest. And that's how you equate North Carolina.
And Miles Plumlee is coming out for the final time in his career here at Cameron. Parents Perky and Leslie looking on. Their son certainly played well tonight here on his senior night. 16 points and 11 rebounds for Miles Plumlee, but in the big picture to no avail for his team.
Hey, Jerry, have you seen the younger brother? I have not seen him. I know he's redshirted.
Yeah, Marshall Plumlee's a good player. He's a true 7-footer. He's not as athletic as either Mason or Miles Plumlee, but he's going to be a very good player.
So Carolina is going to win the outright ACC regular season championship. They'll be the #1 seed in Atlanta. Their first game will be Friday at noon. Duke is going to be the 2 seed. Florida State is locked in as the 3 seed, and most of the rest is still up for grabs in the ACC.
You know, the ACC's had some improvement in the middle of the pack. It's the bottom that's really been inept. When you look at Georgia Tech, you look at Wake Forest, those clubs. And right now, Paul Biancardi says 5 teams in the ACC will be ranked in the top 25 of recruiting.
Zeller fouls out, finishes with 19 points and 10 rebounds. And nobody, you would imagine, wanted to win in this building more than Tyler Zeller after the way the last game ended. Tomorrow, ABC has an NBA doubleheader for you. It all starts with Kia NBA Countdown at 12:30 Eastern Time. At 1 Eastern, it will be the Knicks and the Celtics, and then at 3:30 Eastern, the Heat and the Lakers, the NBA on ABC tomorrow.
Tell you one thing about Jeremy Lin. I know it's great to see the Harvard team play against Columbia. He was in the place. He came off a game, 19 points, 13 assists. There's no doubt he's going to be a solid NBA player.
I'll tell you, this is a tremendous answer from North Carolina in this ball game. After what happened in the first game, how difficult that loss was, for them to come in on the home court of their rival and deliver this kind of blow, this has really been impressive.
Well, especially to jump out plus 26, Jay, in a game that's so meaningful. We're talking about potential #1 seed, #1 seed in the ACC tournament, winning the ACC regular season championship. I asked Roy Williams, you were there with me. I said, how important? He said, very important. Very important was his words about winning the ACC regular season title.
Well, they've done it more than any other program. This will be their 29th, either outright or shared, ACC regular season championship. Duke is a distant second at 19.
I want to say happy birthday also. Just recently was the birthday of Michelangelo Dean Smith, 81 years of age.
A steal by Bullock. And they can run out the clock. North Carolina, as we said, and Chris Collins said in his halftime interview with Aaron, they threw a punch early, and Duke got some jabs in early in the second half to stay with the boxing analogy, but Carolina answered down the stretch. They put on an impressive performance here tonight. They will avenge their defeat on their home court last month, and they are the ACC regular season champions. Congratulations to Roy Williams and North Carolina, an 88-70 win here at Duke. And we'll see if these two programs meet up again next week in Atlanta in the championship game of the ACC tournament. Tyler Zeller finishing with 19 and 10, an impressive game for him. Marshall had 20 points and 10 assists. Barnes chipped in with 16. Rebounding advantage, huge rebounding advantage at times for Carolina tonight. And they win the ACC regular season championship and will be the #1 seed heading into the ACC tournament beginning in Atlanta later on this week. The final score from Durham, North Carolina 88 and Duke 70. For Dick Vitale, Jay Billis, and Aaron Andrews, I'm Dan Schulman. At Texas and Kansas, live from Allen Fieldhouse, is coming up next. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Let's send it back to the studio now with Ryan Burr and Jay Williams.